It is March 31st, which means tomorrow is April 1st, and that is the real start of the NFL draft coverage across the NFL universe. Welcome into Falcons Today by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here. Following ESPN's full 7-round mock draft, wanted to go pick by pick and see who they had the Falcons taking with their 8 picks in this upcoming draft. So let's react to Jordan Reid's mock draft. First thing first, in case you're wondering what picks Atlanta has come late April, they've got 8 picks all together. Their own first, of course, the coveted number 8 overall pick, a second, a third, a 2/4, a fifth, and 2/7. So we're going to go pick by pick from Jordan Reid's mock draft, see who he had Atlanta taking. I'm a big fan of picks 1, 2, and 3, but we are still in our sub-battle with our NFC foes like Saints now and Vikings now. Now, I'm not too concerned about the Vikings channel, but the Saints channel has a narrow lead on us. But here's the good thing. It's Friday. The Saints guy is not in, so it's an opportunity for us to pass the Saints channel, win the sub-battle this week, and then we get a beer from the Saints guy, Trace Gerard, on Saturday. So let's make that happen. Hit that sub button to help us beat the Saints off the field. Moving on here, ESPN's Falcons Mock Draft in round 1, pick number 8. It is Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback out of Oregon, originally from the Dallas, Texas area. He was a stud last year for the Ducks. 50 tackles, 4 interceptions, 7 pass breakups, and 1 tackle for loss. PFF also thought he was a stud. Just look at the grades they gave him. Overall, 83.3, only 3 touchdowns allowed. Great coverage and tackling grades to go along with it. Gonzalez, as a player, he has all the dimensions and tools GMs look for, right? He's got the size, he's got the length, he's got the speed. Those are 3 big boxes to check right there. He's an absolute athletic freak. You don't really find that rare blend of size, length, and speed all in one for a cornerback. He is a great pair to have with A.J. Terrell. The only thing he really needs to work on, I would say, is his ability to read the quarterback a little better, right? Know when to jump the route. But that's what you pay coaches in the NFL to do. You can't really teach speed. You can teach the other stuff. So Gonzalez and Terrell, I mean, I don't know what the quarterback landscape of the NFC South is going to look like for the next 4 to 5 seasons. I'm expecting a lot of change coming soon. But whether it's C.J. Stroud in Carolina, Kyle Trask in Tampa Bay, or Derek Carr in New Orleans, it's going to be a no-fly zone when they play the Falcons. So look at the depth chart right now. Casey Hayward, he's an older vet, 1 year left on his contract. You bring in Gonzalez. You might ultimately just win the job outright from Hayward. That's what 8th overall picks tend to do. But if not, a great rotation to have in this cornerback room, and Terrell and Gonzalez as your 2 starting corners. I mean, we're talking about 2 Pro Bowl, dare I even say potential All-Pro. I know that's a big word to use here. Talent on the same defense at the same position. So be honest with me. Do you want to draft Christian Gonzalez? Do the Falcons desperately need a cornerback? Not desperately. They could use one. They could use a lot of things if we're being honest. I think pass rusher is a bigger priority. But if all the good pass rushers are gone, I'm all for Atlanta just taking best player available. And that could be Christian Gonzalez. Now, Fontenot does not get a pass rusher in round 1 from Jordan Reid, but he does get one in round 2. That's B.J. Ojulari, the edge rusher from LSU. He would fit nicely in Nielsen's 3-4 front. He's more of a standing outside linebacker. LSU did not use him often in a 3-point stance, right, coming off the ground. Kind of reminds me of Harold Landry. I've seen that comp before. The Falcons need to address the edge rushing spot. And Ojulari is sort of a boomer bust player on snaps, right? I'm not saying he takes snaps off, but he's not maybe the most committed to stopping the run. He's all about getting a sack here and there. He's a little easy to block at times, right? He picks his battles. He's got to become more of an every down player in the NFL. But I think some coaching and some, harsh criticism, some good old tough love could go a long way for Ojulari. The next pick comes from Cincinnati, and Desmond Ridder would probably be doing a lot of high fives if this happened. Tyler Scott, wide receiver in round 3, pick 75 overall. Last season for Cincinnati in 2022, he was a big-time playmaker. 899 yards, 16 yards per catch, 9 touchdowns, and a 76-yard bomb at one point. He is a track star, okay? This is what he did coming into Cincinnati. He's on the junior track team or Olympic track team, something to that tune exactly. He needs to work on his route running a little bit, but he's got the chemistry with Desmond Ridder. And if we go back to the Falcons last year, this is more on Marcus Mariota, there was never any sort of downfield chemistry for Mariota with London or Pitts. Now, that's not too out of the ordinary, right? It was their first couple of weeks playing together. They never really got to, get into a groove and make some chemistry downfield. But this would really jumpstart things for Desmond Ridder, right? Chemistry meaning, hey, this is the NFL, right? Routes change sometimes mid-route. So for Ridder and Scott to be on the same page potentially of, hey, if you start running your route and you see the safety looks away from you, you know that's a go route then. And I know it's a go route because we're on the same page based on how the safety or the cornerback plays you right off this jump. So that could be a fun duo for Atlanta as a big play potential every few weeks. He allegedly, by the way, when I said he's a track star, that wasn't a joke, ran a 4.29 40-yard dash at his pro day. It's 2023. How do we have the word allegedly still when it comes to running times? Like, we've been to the moon. We can't measure how long it takes someone to run 40 yards. Don't understand that, but he is a burner. So be the GM for me. What do you think Atlanta's biggest position of need? I think the obvious answer is pass rusher. So if anyone wants to be like an MVP and go one pass rusher, but 1A, and give me maybe the second sneaky need that Atlanta has, would be really curious to see what people come up with. On to pick number 4 in Jordan Reid's mock draft. This is offensive lineman Anthony Bradford from LSU. He's an interior offensive lineman, right? I'm sure the NFL will have different roles for him than LSU did. But in round 4, I'm just looking for talent. I'm looking for guys who can be contributors in years 2 or 3 on their contract. And Bradford could step into a nice role come that point. In 2022, according to PFF, he had an overall grade of 65.2. Pass blocking needs some work, 51.7, but a good run blocker. And I always say it's easier to teach someone how to pass block in the NFL than to run block, right? You can teach an offensive lineman with a good O-line coach how to go backwards, right? How to get their hand placement down better. It's a bit tougher to teach an offensive lineman how to be a mauler, how to want to take someone's head off, right? How to be Michael Oren blindside and just bulldoze someone 20 yards in front of you. So I'm a big fan of looking for guys who can improve in that regard. So Bradford, I think that'd be a good backup depth pick for Atlanta in round 4. Speaking of round 4, they got another pick here, and they go Michael Wilson, wide receiver out of Stanford with 113. Well, at least that's what Jordan Reid has him going. Wilson is PFF's 7th ranked wide receiver in this draft. So clearly some nerds, some draft gurus out there think very highly of the Stanford Cardinal. Now, Wilson has only played in 14 games over the past 3 seasons. So you could look at this as sort of like a hidden gem, if you will, right? Maybe other people are overlooking him, and that happens in the NFL, right? Where players get dinged up, nicked up in college. For example, Taysom Hill tore his ACL twice at BYU. Saints saw something when they claimed him off the waivers from Green Bay, and the rest is history. So, Wilson, high upside, but we don't really have tangible evidence to prove or show what he could be in the NFL. We're going to get to the rest of the picks in just a moment, but the NFL draft, like I said, is less than a month away, and sport the exact same hat that future Falcons players will be wearing on stage in Kansas City. When you go to chatsports.com/ATL hat, that's the hat right there. I'm a big fan of it. I think it looks pretty cool. If you agree, get one today before they run out of stock. In round 5, Fontenot gets Carter Warren, offensive tackle out of Pitt. Now, tackle might not be the biggest need for the Falcons, but this is a good point for everyone watching right now to remind you guys that I'm just looking for best player available, right? You never know what your needs will be in a couple of seasons. So whether or not you need an offensive tackle, I'm not really, all that upset with going with a spot where you've got Jake Matthews and Caleb McGarry locked up for the coming years. This is a large individual, 6'5", 325 pounds. If you're looking for a swing tackle, if you're looking for a guy who could step up if an injury pops up, I'd feel a lot more comfortable with Warren in this spot. Now, here's how PFF graded him last year. Just four games, unfortunately. 66.4. Good pass blocking, 81.5. Good, decent run blocking at 60.3. So now I want everyone watching to be their own GM. And let me know who your favorite draft prospect is in this draft. I'm a big fan of Josh Downs. I think if any team gets him early round 2, they're going to be a big fan of that pick. And that might be one of those second-round picks, kind of like, I don't know, Devontae Adams, where he's better than all the first-round players potentially. Who knows? So I'm going to go Josh Downs. Let me know who your favorite draft prospect is in the comments section. We're moving on to round number 7. These are the who guys? This is Tyler Lacey, an edge rusher from Oklahoma State. If we're talking round 7 guys here, it's hard to get all that serious with everyone because we know they are long shots to ever be contributors on the roster. But Lacey, the last 2 seasons for the Cowboys, 6.5 sacks, 20 tackles for loss, 2 pass breakups. He's a versatile defensive lineman who can move around a little bit. So he comes in as a bit of a jack of all trades that can plug and play in different spots. Ultimately, in round 7, what are we looking for, everyone? Special teams contributors. Which brings us to this guy, Keaton Mitchell, running back out of East Carolina. Is he going to get many running back snaps? Unlikely. This is a special team athleticism pick right here. You hope you can carve out a role for him. And hey, RB 3 or 4 on the depth chart. If an injury pops up, he can step in and take a snap or 2. But ultimately, probably a preseason hero. But yes, the token 7th round running back, because what is every GM's dream? To hit on a running back in day 3 and never have to pay one more than $5 million a season. Now, he was really good for the Pirates last year. If we can just talk about Mitchell's success there, 1,400 yards in 2022 and 15 touchdowns. This is one of those picks where you look at and you go, wow, the Falcons got a big-time contributor with one of the last picks in the draft. Now, his RAS score, which is just ultimate draft porn for some people, all you look for here is green. I see a lot of green, right? 8.6. I don't really know what that means, but I know green is good. So I'm going to take it as a go light and, make the pick if he's on the board. I'm all for taking an elite level athlete in round 7. These are lottery tickets of lottery tickets, right? This is a lottery ticket to just go buy a lottery ticket. That's what round 7 really comes down to. So I've got no real issues with just taking a dart and throwing at the board, no matter what the position is, because you see some potential talent there down the line for the Atlanta Falcons. So grade ESPN's Falcons mock draft for me. It's always fun to rip ESPN a new one. So if you want to go that route, give Jordan Reid an F, A, B, C, D, or F. We will run through the mock draft one more time for you guys. They went Christian Gonzalez at number 8. I like that. Ojulari at 2. I'm just really not a big fan of BJ Ojulari this draft. Sorry, BJ. Tyler Scott, a little Desmond Ridder connection. Anthony Bradford. Then they go Michael Wilson from Stanford. Carter Warren, Tyler Lacey, and Keaton Mitchell. So what would my grade be? I'm going to go B. I like the Christian Gonzalez pick a lot. All right, that definitely boosted up a good chunk. Just not crazy about BJ Ojulari when we're talking round 2. If I'm picking players in round 2, I want guys who, as an edge rusher, can get after the quarterback and stop the run. He is sort of just every other play pass rusher type of guy. So that kind of brings it down a little bit. And then as for Tyler Scott, you can't teach speed. So that's a very exciting pick. But I've just never been the leader of the draft track stars, because more often than not, when you look at the guys who finish at the top of the 40-yard dash, they don't actually ever contribute much in the NFL. So that's always been my draft mindset is I'm drafting football players, not track stars. That's it for today's show. Hope you guys enjoy your weekend. We will catch up with everyone later. I think we're going to do a video about trade targets. So we'll talk some trades over the weekend, so stay tuned for that. Signing off until next time.